Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. Cruising right along, right? Urgent season starting to heat up. Bigger names are starting to report, and last night was our first serious look at some big tech names. And of the two largest names to report, so Netflix and IBM, pretty pretty clear divergence in the path of their stock. Um, Headed in significantly opposite directions. And IBM spent a lot of time going over on this week's option session. So the reason, the rationale behind that trade, starting to line up pretty nicely. So if you're wondering what we were looking at for that, definitely go back and check out this week's option session. Netflix is actually another one we went over as well too, and this one to me always kind of fit into like the speculative category because really the trade on Netflix was all about the trend, about the range, right? Um, whether whether you were bullish or bearish, right? I felt like the potential of Netflix this quarter all hinged upon whether or not it broke the range. Okay, and what I mean by that is I mean very clearly been range bound for 5 months, right? Kind of like a coiling spring. Had two earnings reports within that period. Neither were able to get it out. And it rolled over so pretty heavy the last few days going into this earnings, and it basically put it smack in the middle of this range, right? So right around 360. So it's about $25 higher to 385 resistance, and then $25 lower to 340 support. And what was interesting about Netflix was the pricing of the options and the potential of the pattern, right? So you had about 27, depending on which day you look, 26 yesterday, rent to earnings was about 27, was priced in. Um, Over the 2 quarters this year, it moved about anywhere from like 15 to 17 points. So it was a little bit less volatile. And like the range bound choppy action probably contributed to like those options being priced a little bit less than what it is average. Maybe if you go back like a year and a half, because there's been plenty of moves in like the 30, 25, 30, even some in like the 40 range. So the options were priced maybe more to reflect what it had done like recently, which wasn't a whole lot. And if you were betting on Netflix, you were basically betting on a range resolution, right? Because if it broke through 385, there could have been pretty clear path to 420, the next obvious target, right? And then if it broke 340, a 10% measured move puts this down in like the teens into like the 310 area, right? I mean, just using like simple 10% extension below key monthly support, you're probably looking at like the teens to 310. Lines up well with like these pivot bottoms from January and August of last year. So again, this fell into the speculative camp. I mean, it's been range bound the last couple quarters. We're kind of duds. So basically, I felt like it was speculative because it really hasn't been a volatile name. It hasn't had like a volatile profile on earnings, but there was like a lot of potential if it got through the range, right? So that's why like the trade idea was like speculative further out of the money, because if it did break out or break down, looking about maybe like a $40 to $50 move instead of like the 27 that's priced in. So what happened? Well, obviously, I mean, I'm sure if you've followed the market at all today, you realize that Netflix missed the subscriber number by a mile, and it was their first quarterly decline for subscribers. I think since 2012 is what I remember correctly. So it was a significant miss, and we literally just talked about these scenarios yesterday, right? It's one thing if maybe Netflix had a really strong number and then it sold off, right? That's more maybe like a unexpected reaction, right? I mean, it's like maybe expectations were high, and then the number just hit the expectations, and it was like a sell the news, right? But if it's unexpected news development, in this case, it was an unexpectedly bad subscriber number. Now that might change the narrative on Netflix, and that's why I personally would be maybe looking more as this as like a short opportunity than a long, right? Because it's not an unexpected reaction; it's an unexpected development. The subscriber miss was significant, And now, so in addition to have like a serious technical breakdown, you have like maybe like a deteriorating fundamental picture, right? So what you could be watching for is either a back test of 340 and a failure at that 200 day, or if you get maybe like a quick flag down around like where it is at the moment, you get the opportunity to maybe look for like a fast move down into like the low teens to this 310 area, right? Which seems to be like the next kind of like major pivot point on the chart. So just from my perspective, this was a change in narrative, not necessarily just an unexpected reaction. So even though this is a very beloved stock, there is like kind of like a new reality developing that it's looking like it's kind of broken technically, and the fundamental picture might be changing too. So something to take into account, right? Obviously, probably a lot of people wanted this to go up, but now that it's going down, I mean, there could be plenty of trade opportunities on the downside as well. So definitely something to keep an eye on. You want to watch how things develop, where it holds. In terms of like swings, right? This isn't actually this actually is something that we saw back in July of last year, right? So you had like the 1 day like big washout, a little bit of a bounce, and then you saw over the next month pretty steady follow through lower, right? So if you're looking for like a time frame for an option swing, this played out about in a month's time frame, right? So from the day reported to like a new low in the bottom was just about a month. So if you're looking for a swing, it could be maybe like a month time frame to see maybe like a repeat of that type of pattern. All right. So plenty more coming out tonight. Microsoft, biggest name in the market, so obviously it's going to be super important. But also plenty of other like volatile names scheduled to report. So it should be a busy night. Tomorrow morning should be busy, and then next week is just going to be absolutely jam packed. So lots and lots and lots to look forward to. So best of luck if you guys are playing anything. Have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.